This is Making Light. Julie Hurt and Kate Fogger are soul-level intuitives and animal communicators. This show is about us sharing our experiences in the hope it will help others along their path. So let's go make some light.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Making Light, Two Humans Being. I'm Julie. Here with me, as always, is the fabulous Kate Foggo. We here on Making Light talk every week about the negative beliefs that we all encounter as we have this divine experience, divine beings having a human experience. There are 4 negative beliefs that Kate and I focus on in our soul level intuitive coaching work, as well as our soul level animal communication work. And they are not worthy, not lovable, not good enough, and not feeling safe, secure, and protected. And this month, the month of November, we are focusing on a workaround behavior called people pleasing. Now, workaround behavior is when you have a negative belief, you use this behavior to alleviate stress, to work around the negative belief, to either so you don't feel it, or maybe you do, you feel it, however it handles for you. Today, this whole month, actually, I'll say, we're talking about people pleasing. And today we're going to work on people pleasing as it pertains to the negative belief of not worthy, which is a big one for me, like so big, so big.
How big, Julie?
It's the gift that keeps on giving, Kate. It just no matter what. Since we started learning being certified, I swear, like it's been 4 years? It feels like, I don't know, 5 years. Anyway, this is the negative belief. Not worthy is the negative belief I have been predominantly working on with both my guides, all my fabulous friends, all my intuitive friends, my wonderful dog, Lucas. Even my grandfather made it up because I took a mediumship class. My grandfather showed up yesterday. Well, showed up 3 days in a row. Oh my gosh, so much not worthiness. Yeah, so that's today. So we're talking about people pleasing as a workaround behavior for not worthy. In other words, when I begin to people please, what does that say about me not feeling worthy about myself? So, and I have oodles of examples.
Do you?
Yes. Do you? But I don't want to, you talk, because of course I'm not worthy. So you go first if you have.
Because I am worthy, because I don't have any unworthiness whatsoever. Me. Yeah, it's a big one for me as well, Julie. You can't hear my washing machine, can you?
No.
Okay, good. So, so I did. This time I did actually sit with my guys. I was like, right, okay, I keep doing this and I keep just showing up and I haven't really thought of anything and stuff comes, but let's do a bit of prep because why? That wasn't not worthy though. That's not good enough. I'm like, well, Julie always shows up with an idea and I haven't thought about it. I'm not as good as Julie. I need to work harder and do that. But so what I got about not worthy. So I had a bit of a tussle with him that because it kept coming up about work. And I was like, well, I get that, but that's sort of, and by work, I mean, in my previous existence at work. And I could see all these sort of images and I was like, that's work, that's definitely work. And then I was thinking, yeah, but, at work, it's more likely to be not good enough because of the sort of mentality that I have. So when I say people pleasing, I'm not talking, at least my version of it is not this obsequious, oh, how can I help you, all of that, which is what we sort of think of. It's actually a lot more subtle than that, and that's why you don't realize what you're doing. But you're actually the way I sort of see it when I look back on it is almost like well, it's doing stuff for accolade basically, but doing it like going over and above, because in your job obviously there are certain things that you have to, but when I look back to my entire career, I would always go over and above. So I was sort of not tussling with guys, but going with guys, well, isn't that more about not good enough? But it's not. It's actually about proving my worth, especially as I ended up in a job that paid a lot more money than I ever thought was feasible. I'd worked in bars, I'd worked in supermarkets, and suddenly I'm a graduate software engineer earning, okay, it doesn't sound like a lot now, but like I would be earning 17 grand as opposed to, I don't know, 8, which is what I would have been getting if I was 5 if you're working in a bar. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of, so I'm thrown into this environment, and I was there a long time, but I just don't think my worthiness ever caught up. So on the one hand, I'd be like, I'm really good at this, and then I moved into management especially, but I realized that, I mean, it's just in my nature anyway to always over deliver. Why, Julie? Why do I over deliver?
Because you don't feel worthy.
It's like, you know, that they talk about it's not small man syndrome, it's not that one, but how everybody feels like, you know, you're in a job and suddenly you're a grown up, and you do, and you feel like a fraud. You're like, one day they're going to catch me out because I'm not sure I really know what I'm doing. I'm not sure, you know, I'm not worthy of this. I'm now on a big fat salary, and I get a car allowance, and you pay my pension, and you pay my medical, and you know, and I've got friends who work in like social work and stuff like that, and one of them they do drama, one of them does drama, one of them actually does a lot of stuff, very close friends, and they work so hard, and I knew weren't getting anything like the sort of money I was on, and then that adds on to some sort of guilt about that. So, you know, it's like proving that I am worth the money that you're paying me, because I will always be the first one to put my hand up that anything that needs to be done. I will always over deliver everything I do. I answer my emails within minutes of them arriving, if they, you know, all that stuff. So I have a whole history of that, and I'm sure there'll be specific incidents that come up, but I'm pretty sure that that is a summary of my working life, actually, pretty much. Instances that come to mind, but that's my starter for 10, Julie.
Yeah, that's interesting that you say that too, because I remember when I earned in my advertising career, the highest amount that I ended up ever earning in my advertising career, and it didn't last very long because then we had some type of financial crisis and we all had to take pay cuts. But for a hot second there, I earned like really nice money. And I remember crying when I was told that I was going to get this raise. And I even think, really? Like I remember even saying that to my boss, really? Because I didn't feel worthy. And then of course it went away. Yeah. And then also just around money too, we were talking before we went into broadcast, if you will, just a whole bunch of stuff that's come up with me about money as a driver, I'll say it this way, for it like triggers my not worthiness. Because I'm, as you reminded me, with love and compassion, that I'm growing my business and it is moving forward. And I am really pleased and pleasantly surprised at where it's going. At the same time, I always feel like I have to justify doing this versus my advertising career with different people, including my husband. And so when things transpire that may not be adding to the bottom line in the actual moment, then there's these conversations that I get that he wants me to engage in about how I'm actually building this so that money is actually coming, which it actually is. But then I feel like I have to justify myself. I have to people please him. I have to justify my existence, my reason to doing this, my reason for not going out to getting a 8 to 5, which would really be a 7:30 to 6, let's just be honest, job, and going back to the grindstone, so that he doesn't necessarily need to feel the pressure that he feels in having a full-time job. And so what and this has been, and which is so interesting too, Kate, is that so many of my animal communication sessions for this last year, well, even louder in the last 6 months, and even when I do like events and you get reading after reading after reading, there's been like a current of like, where are you to the human? Where are you in all of this? What do you want? Put yourself first. Don't worry about all this. You have to put your own needs. You have to say your needs. You have to understand what they are and even voice them. There's this whole undercurrent. And so I can feel all that. That's a little bit, because all of these themes, there's a little bit of that for us, right? So I can feel all these themes coming through for me in, this is what I need to do. This is what I'm called to do. Yes, it's difficult in the 3D financial world right now. That doesn't mean it's going to be that way. So even as your guides were telling me earlier, and I knew this, right? Just like I can feel that this is where I'm supposed to be. When I think, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to go get I'm going to have to get a full-time job. I can just feel everything just kind of, it gets like goopy and gluck inside I can feel it all in my core. It's crazy. And, any other person in this world would say, well, you got to pull your weight. You got to go out there and get a job. You got to do this. You got to do that. And who even knows if I could actually get a job, knowing that the universe works with you, for you in all these mysterious ways. It'd be interesting. I'm not going to attempt it.
I think you'd get a job, and because I have a friend, we talk every week, and she has been through the rounds a couple of times because she's in the same sort of, not the same work as us, but in the same arena, shall we say. And every now and then the guilt kicks in, and I should be working, and why haven't I got a proper job? And she'll go and she'll convince herself that this is the answer, and she'll fucking hate it. Hate it. And she'll do it. She'll get a great job on paper, everything she wants. Her heart's not in it. And then she'll start to make herself ill again. So she backs away. So what will happen. Of course you'd get a job. Of course you'd get a job. Who wouldn't hire you?
Right. Well,
so full of it, and you'd be so pleased with yourself, and you would, and you'd go in there with all your guns blazing, and all your workarounds would kick in, and you'd work really hard. You'd be the best, most valuable member of the team, proving your worth, proving your work, and a little bit of your soul would die every day. And the thing is, where we are now, we can't tolerate that.
Yeah.
I've tolerated it for years, but I am now so sensitized that, even just thinking about the shed, even thinking about it with no intention of doing anything with it again, I get that sick feeling, that and I can't explain it. There's nothing in the world that can explain that, other than what I'm supposed to be doing.
And you know what I think would be super interesting is, I bet if I went back into I'll call it the 3D, and had the regular job and all that type of stuff, and was putting my energy there, I bet my health, because you just reminded me, my health would deteriorate again. Because when I was in advertising, I had heart issues, I had cholesterol issues, I had some really nasty things happening that could potentially have taken me out at an early age. And then I got out of that, and things kind of leveled, and then I chaired this board of directors, and the health stuff kicked all back in again. So you just reminded me. And I don't know if I told you this. So, which is so interesting, because it's like, as I feel not worthy and was people pleasing and trying to do the board of directors, or people pleasing and trying to do that job, making sure everybody around me was happy. Everybody had what they needed. Everybody was moving ahead. Clients were taken care of. Boss were taken care of. Board of director was taking everybody, and putting myself like super small, and my health would take off. I just actually had a meeting with my doctor 2 weeks ago, and all my levels are back to normal. I've dropped like 12, maybe more pounds. Like and I feel so much more healthy. Like I don't have the back pain. Like, it's crazy. So your body is absolute evidence of when it's an actual evidence of this not worthy thing when it comes up for me. And I can actually feel it too when I begin to do that people pleasing and trying to, which was also part of the story that I was telling you too earlier today. And I might not go into a ton of detail, but that was also like, I felt like what I had agreed to do, well, I had wanted to do it, and then it didn't actually materialize. Then I felt like I was trying to please somebody else when it didn't materialize. Like maybe I didn't sign up for this particular event and engagement for me, and maybe I signed up for it for other people. And so maybe there was something in that there too for me.
I do think a lot of this not wanting to let people down, that's people pleasing.
Yeah.
And it's a really tricky one, because nobody wants to be an ass, basically.
Yeah.
I was watching, that's very interesting you bring it up, because this week, can't remember why it came up, but I watched, she calls it Fuck It. It's a woman, have you seen that?
Not even heard of it, no.
No, How Not to Give a Fuck is basically her. She's got, but Sarah Knight or something like that. I'll put it in there.
I have heard of that now. If it's, how to not,
And I was like, do you know what? Like, you make it sound so simple, but I listened to it anyway because she was highly engaging. And of course, throwing in the word fuck every now and then, absolutely loved it. But it was actually, and it actually is that simple.
Mhm.
But like one of the points that she made was, you go along with things with people, and no, the example she used was a bit bland, and you could easily say no to it. And that is like, somebody when you're at work and they come along and they want you to sponsor their child or something like that, and it's like, just say no. Like, why do we feel obligated? I'm going through this with fucking Christmas cards. Is this about not worthy? Interesting. Don't know if it's about not worthy. My beautiful neighbor gave me she actually gave us she sort of gives, like, some people give like shortbread and stuff like that, which is quite a Scottish thing to do. I don't give gifts and I don't give cards, right? But when someone gives it to me, I'm like, oh, here we go. And that's, again, that is not worthy, actually, isn't it? I'm not worthy to receive your presents without giving you something back, and I'm really bad for that. And I have some friends that get really angry because they say, I know you don't give gifts. I do not give you things in order for you to give me something back. But I cannot accept something off someone without writing a list somewhere that says I need to pay this back. That's a really big thing for me.
Yeah.
I'm going through all this at the moment because last year, because Gary and I don't drink, my lovely neighbour Yvonne had actually bought us pucker tea, right, which is a really thoughtful gift for people who, because a lot of people don't. It was just a really thoughtful gift to give us, and now I'm like, shit. I have to find something that's, not too expensive, because I don't want to, all these things, and I don't want to. But I don't want to not appreciate the fact that she made it obviously a special effort, because that's not something she'd have had to look for that.
Mhm.
And to have even gone through the thought process of what can I give them? They don't drink alcohol. Oh, wouldn't it be nice, that sort of thing. It's just a really nice gift. So that's all not worthy for me as well. Gift giving.
Right. And trying to make people happy. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was something that you said, and it made me think of people pleasing and not feeling worthy. And I mean, and when we do this work, part of it, when we're coaching people, and the guides have identified the negative belief, and then we look at what age it started. And for me, not worthy actually started at age 2, and it had to deal with my mom and my dad. And when my dad would come home from after being a week away, and my mom would be like wanting his attention, but I was the first one there, and then he would grab me, and then I ended up playing referee between my mom's feeling let down and maybe jealousy and all this other stuff going on. Plus she had another baby that was my sister when she was 0. And so I ended up being caught like in this middle, but trying to make everybody happy so that no one would yell at me. And that behavior of that people pleasing, that's the workaround. And that's where that's where it started. So I can ladder the things that I do, or the things that get triggered, back to this people pleasing workaround, and then ultimately this negative belief of not worthy, to the point where, now, like with this whole job thing, and money is clearly, as we were talking about earlier too, is clearly a trigger for me to realize not worthy's kicking in. And what am I trying to do about, people pleasing, and what's actually going on here, that I'm either trying to make someone else happy, because I very rarely look at it as, what do I need out of this situation to make myself happy? And even when I do feel that way, then I feel like I'm not worthy to make myself happy, because I have to make sure everybody else is happy, and then I'm happy. So it's like this whole thing. And what's fascinating to me is, over these years that we've been working through this, you figure out one aspect of it, and then another aspect comes up to be worked on and examined and brought to the light, as we like to say, and then another, and then another. So to some degree, I can see how some of it's been released, and then this other new layer has come up too. In particular, some of the things that have transpired over the last week in my household, just even be able to react to things in a little bit of a different way than I have before. Of course, it's not perfect, but you know, I can recognize that I was able to react in certain ways. It's still frustrating. It's still painful, but yeah. So so that was just what I was thinking of. Yeah, that money's just such a big thing too, from a people
It is.
pleasing. Yeah.
It is, and it's such a trigger for all of us, and it's a real big one for not worthy, because it's like, I am not worthy of having this money spent on me. I'm not worthy of using this money for things that will make me happy, because I have an obligation to make sure we're safe, or to make sure that our future is taken care of. All future. It's actually really hard when you're, especially when you're short of money. It's easier when you've got plenty of it, to spend money on yourself, on things that really matter to you, that you see. The thing about like what we're doing here, because especially coming from like the corporate world, and we were talking about this earlier, like the real world, shall we say, what other people consider the world, go get a fucking job and work your nuts off and whatever. It's almost like what we're doing now, we see as that side of the world sees as an indulgence. It's a hobby, you know. So putting yourself forward to go, actually, no, this is what I want to do. That's where all my unworthiness comes in. Like no, I should be doing a proper job. I'm not worthy of going, I don't want a fucking proper job. I say that, but it's still there inside me. At some point, it's sort of like, some point, Kate, you're gonna have to go and get a proper job. You know, you're not making enough money. Like, who do you think you are? How dare you? You know, there's all of that. That's all unworthy. Why am I worthy of doing what I want to do? You know, it's like, it's so simple to see it in someone else, and yet we're all guilty of it, with every single women, especially, I think, because they're so used to people pleasing, because there is a role that women play in mediation and that, and it does that lead to, I don't know that it lends to people pleasing, I suppose, because we tend to be more empathic towards how other people feel. We tend to be the peacemakers. That's just more because we're more aware. That's more of the feminine, isn't it? Of the feminine. Feminine is compassion and empathy and understanding how other people feel. And then with you and I being empaths on top of that, you know, a lot of the people pleasing comes from a genuine discomfort of feeling other people's discomfort, of sensing that somebody's not happy or something's not right, or, you know, and that desire to alleviate that, really. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's only a workaround when it's covering up your not worthiness. Like, there's a lot of people pleasing is a strange one, but you know, it's not wrong to do things for other people and to be aware of how they feel. That's nice and that's good, but not at the expense of yourself. That's really the thing, isn't it?
Yeah. And there's one, my guides just dropped in, and I do want to be mindful of time too, but my guides just dropped in another aspect of people pleasing as it relates to not worthy for me, and that's me sharing my opinion. I'm actually not, when I feel very, very safe and secure, but even then, people have to drag it out of me, like you did earlier. Brad is really good at dragging it out of me too. I don't feel worthy of sharing my opinion. And so when it comes to people pleasing, I will either go quiet, or I'll just agree with you. It used to be I would just agree with you and not move on, and then seethe behind the scenes. Now, and to some degree also go quiet, but now I'll also go quiet. But also I'm noticing too, I will beat myself up for not, sometimes I don't feel like it's appropriate to share an opinion, but other people around me seem to have absolutely no problem sharing their opinions. And I'm like, I'm always in awe of them. I'm like, wow, you're really comfortable with who you are. And I just can't do that. But I have noticed in my life, as I've worked through not worthy and people pleasing, that I actually just won't even share my opinion when actually people were paying me, like in advertising, for strategy to get my opinion. And so now I'm starting to play with, particularly as I write more, here's my opinion and I'm putting it out there, and I don't know if you're going to like it or not. And having that whole ball, that like, it just feels like this big ball of energy here, and just kind of playing with it, and like, ooh, I'm gonna get dinged for that one, but okay, let's see what happens. that also is another area my guides are saying, like, don't forget when you
That'll
share
be
your.
interesting to see how, because you're not going to get dinged, are you?
I haven't so far, although I'm sure people think I'm crazy, but I don't know if I
That's
care
okay.
anymore.
No, I don't
Yeah.
care. It's crazy, but yeah, I get you sharing your opinions. I mean, I used to be really I'm still really opinionated. I used to say it a lot. Now, like you, I'm just a lot more careful, and we lose a bit of ourselves as we become aware of. It's interesting because, like you say, people who share their opinions, I was always very opinionated, and now as I've become more aware of how that insinuating that on people isn't necessarily a nice thing to do, but I think we probably swing too far the other way. And I want to get to actually what you just said is, wow, you're really comfortable with who you are. I want to be that person. I actually want to be that person. I'd like to go back to being more outspoken and not being, I used to not be afraid. This is funny because that's the juxtaposition. I am aware of time. We're going to stop in a second. So we talked too long before we came on, and Julie has a hard stop. But there's a juxtaposition there, because on the one hand, I'm very outspoken, very strong opinions on things, and this is when your workaround turns against you, if you like. That there's a bit of me that does not feel worthy of having those opinions. So in some arenas that's fine, and I can be a mouthy bitch or whatever, but but then there are other situations where I will not, because deep inside my workaround, it will not allow me to speak what I want to speak, because I'm not worthy of that opinion. And that's where you start getting conflict, internal conflict of your part of your personality that goes, no, this is what I think. Another bit that goes, yeah, but if you know, who are you and how dare you speak out against the masses? There's that side of it as well. Anyway, I can take us out, Julie, if you think
Okay.
we're
Yeah, we have to, but I think we'll revisit. We have 2 more weeks of people pleasing. So next week's not good enough. And then after that, not safe, secure, and protected. So clearly there's more to talk about here.
There is. And actually, I think this will be the last one that goes out before there's a break. So just that, because we will record before I go away. So I'm going away again.
That's right.
Yes. So I'm going away. So there will be a break. I'm not sure if it's 1 week or 2 weeks. I think it's 1 week, but I'm not sure. But
Oh, it might be. No, it's just 1 week.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it will just take me time to I won't be able to edit it till I get back. So thank you very much for listening. Thank you, Julie, and I wish you well now with all your revelations that you've had, which we were talking about before we came on. Yeah, unworthy, big one for both of us, and the people pleasing as well. So if you've enjoyed this, please do put comments down below. You can follow us on Facebook, you can follow us on Instagram, you can follow us right here on YouTube. We are now also doing a podcast where you don't get to see our beautiful faces, but you will be able to take us with you wherever you go. We are currently on Apple, Google, Amazon, and there's one other one, but Spotify, that's the one. So please do let us know what you think. If you've got anything else you'd like us to talk about or anything else, please put it in the comments. As always, thank you so much for listening. And Kate, I was just about to say Kate Hurt, which is a bit weird. I'm Kate Foggo, I think.
Well, technically we're all one.
Technically we're all one. So we've got Kate, Julie, Hurt, Foggo, and so from all one at the universe, signing out. See you later. Bye.